Could Premier Christy Clark's Liberal roots be beginning to show? Well, if the first BC government announcement yesterday after the US election is any indication, I think she is. On Wednesday morning, they announced that the BC anti-racism networks would receive provincial funding. The morning immediately following the election of Donald Trump as president, a man who the dishonest media have falsely accused of being racist. And while I believe this announcement was unnecessary, I am not surprised. Last weekend, while I was at the BC Liberal Convention, the attitude towards Trump was uniformly negative from all involved. Even the more conservative members of the BC Liberals were unwilling to concede that Trump even had a chance of winning. And those who did blamed it on the racism of white America. But let's look into the substance of the announcement and what exactly are the anti-racism networks and what are they being funded to do exactly? Well, the funding is only $217,000, but it will be directed to, quote, support efforts to challenge racism and celebrate diversity. Okay, so far it just sounds like some liberal virtue signaling. But if we dig a bit deeper into the specifics, we find out some more details. Like this one here, quote, a program that trains youth ambassadors to provide anti-racism lessons for Cowichan Valley Elementary School students with a focus on welcoming Syrian refugees. I think it's great that we are preparing our students to accept some Syrian refugees, especially now that the government has indicated they will focus on Yazidis, girls in particular. But to put the onus on Canadian students who need, quote, anti-racism lessons is ridiculous. Two reasons. First, we know from the tremendous reporting of our own Faith Goldie that the issues in schools with Syrian refugee children is not coming from Canadian students being racist and unwelcoming, but just the opposite. From Syrian students being physically and verbally abusive towards Canadian students. And where on earth did the BC government get this idea that somehow BC students might be racist, despite BC being one of the most culturally and ethnic diverse places on earth? We already have many, many Muslim students here. So I could understand if this was a place where few Syrians or people from that part of the world are coming and holding the Islamic faith. But for BC, we've already shown an amazing ability to accept diversity. So this new proposal just stinks of political correctness. So I'm not going to stand here and argue that there's no racism in BC, because we saw the now infamous video of that man in Abbotsford and his racist rant. But I guarantee you the fact that he was caught, publicly shamed, did more to prevent future racism than any government-funded program ever could. Because that's the thing about hate speech. It's better to let people have it than expose it and ridicule it. That's how I think we should fight true racism. It appears now that the Clark-led BC Liberals are moving themselves to the left, in this case the regressive left, on these social issues ahead of the next election. I have to believe they think that there might be an uptick in racism towards Chinese Canadians as well, given the frustration of so many here in the Lower Mainland, as we watch millionaire mainland Chinese snap up every single piece of real estate in our city. But is that really racism or a natural reaction? I'd be willing to bet if there was a true exodus of wealthy American celebrities that began to snap up Vancouver real estate, the reaction would be exactly the same. So while the BC government might think that they are winning with some of their own populism giving an announcement like this the day after Donald Trump is elected, they are really only whipping up anti-American sentiment. Something I would argue is actually far more prevalent in BC than any form of racism. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I know you're busy, I'm busy. We don't always have a chance to check out the latest news from Rebel Media. But if there's anything really pertinent, we'll send you an email. So sign up right here for email updates.